Hello again. Eskom and trade unions representing workers who are employed at the power utility have been locked in a third round of wage negotiations as of today. The unions want above inflation increases of between 10 and 15%, according to some reports, but the employer has so far been offering 3.75%. Let's talk about this now and bring in Numsa's Phakamile Hlubi-Majola. Phakamile, very good evening to you, joining us on the line tonight from Johannesburg, I believe. Is there any truth to some of the reports from earlier this afternoon that the employer has now revised the offer?
Good afternoon, and good afternoon to your viewers. Thank you so much for having me on your show. Yes, we can confirm that Eskom has revised its offer from 3.75% to 4.5%. Numsa also revised its position from 15% increase to 12%. We have rejected, though, Eskom's offer. We feel that they're not coming close enough to the demands that we're making. All the other demands which we've also tabled, they've not really engaged meaningfully on those demands. They keep telling us that we should refer them to other structures, even though in previous wage talks we've actually dealt with them in centralized bargaining. So unfortunately, we're still no closer to one another.
And there's a 5% difference, I suppose, from the position where they are and where you are as Labour. If I have the numbers right, did you say an offer now 7% versus your now changed position to 12? Am I right?
Yes.
So there's a 5% difference then on where you stand. What would be close enough for you to 12?
Well, I think, first of all, if you look at how we've negotiated previously, Tembegile, we really settled usually less than what we originally demanded, because negotiations are about compromise. And where we know members would possibly be willing to engage would be at CPI. And if you look at what Eskom has done, they've effectively increased their 3.75 by 0.75%. It's not even a full percentage increase. And this is why we say, we don't really feel like they are doing enough to try and assist us so that we can at least meet each other halfway. This is why we were able to reject their offer outright. There was no need for us to take this proposal to members, because we know members are not going to accept an increase of 4.75. If you consider the impact of the cost of living crisis, the fact that water and electricity and fuel and food has all gone up, and workers at Eskom have not had meaningful wage increases, certainly not since 2016, 2017, workers are definitely looking at something that's at least at CPI or more, but definitely not anything less than CPI.
I want us to go then, Phakamile, just on that, on some of the other issues where you say the employer at this point feels that those issues shouldn't even be part of the package that you are discussing. What are they, and how important are they ultimately to the happiness of your members employed at Eskom?
Well, there's things like benefits that we've raised. For example, we have demanded 6 months full pay maternity leave and 14 days paid paternity leave. We've demanded an increase in the medical aid contribution as well as an increase in housing allowance. And one of our most important demands is the demand that power stations and units within the power stations should not be closed. So these are some of the things that Eskom is not really willing to engage on. They keep telling us to take it to other forums. And we are saying that these are things that we've actually negotiated on and raised at central bargaining before, and we demand for them to engage properly on these other issues that we're raising. So we are hoping that in the next couple of days, because these talks are going to carry on until the 25th, that we will be able to engage even on all of these other demands and at least find a way to come closer to each other.
Do you get the sense then, based on the first day of talks today, that negotiations are happening in good faith, and indeed by Friday we may see some form of significant progress, so to speak?
I don't want to say we would see significant progress, but I can say we've made progress. And I think the fact that we've made progress is a good thing. The last 2 rounds of wage talks have really been very frustrating. if you recall, in our first and second statements, we were frustrated by the behavior of some of the members of the Eskom negotiating team, in particular Mr. Thulani Ngele. I can report that today he behaved himself, and we hope that going forward he will continue to conduct himself properly and in a way which allows us to make progress. So as long as we are talking to each other, as long as we are sort of, really engaging on each item and trying to find middle ground, that does mean that we are, it's a meaningful engagement, I can say, for today.
What happens if middle ground is not found?
We'll see what happens at the end of the week.
Right. And
if a resolution is not found, then obviously we might then deadlock, which is something that we don't want. And we would prefer not to deadlock. We think that this can be resolved in the realm of negotiation.
Phakamile Hlubi-Majola, pleasure to speak to you. Thank you so much for your time tonight.